square miles in the city of Anaheim, 52 square miles in the city of Long Beach. Now, Long Beach's population is a little bit bigger, but when we're talking about homelessness, we're talking really about the effects from a police department as far as in public land. And so both cities have probably about the same amount of public land. Probably have a little bit more green space than the city of Long Beach. But if you were to look at our numbers of 728, currently the city of Long Beach has 1,208 unsheltered homeless individuals. So I give you that, yes?
Hi, sorry, when was the count last?
2000, I took that information from 2017. I only bring that because sometimes we are compared to other cities around us that are much, much smaller. So I wanted to give you a comparison as to in square miles, and I didn't do the math, obviously, in open land. I didn't have that time, but I'm going to assume that we're kind of close. The other thing I wanted to talk about was also the Boise decision and how that impacts us. Now, I want to tell you, we got Sergeant Cooper in the back, and we have Deputy Chief Harvey here to my left. These individuals have been here for a very long time and have been doing an extraordinarily great job for the city of Anaheim. So they're here because they have the knowledge and the history that an individual that has about 45 days doesn't have. And so they're here to support me in that, but they really understand the issues that have been not only going on throughout the city of Anaheim, but obviously on the west side. And so the Boise decision does change us a little bit. So what we've been doing is when we approach individuals, our first point is to give them services if they so desire. So we've been really doing that. Now the Boise decision will impact us only in that we have to make sure that there is actual bed space before we can give them a camping as our camping ordinance, a violation of our camping ordinance, or our loitering ordinance and so forth. Now, criminal aspects have nothing to do with the Boise decision. So what that means is if individuals are illegally using drugs or commit a penal code violation, those individuals, whoever they may be, homeless or individuals who have homes in the west side or are visitors or business owners, those individuals who do commit crimes of the California Penal Code will be handled appropriately, just like we would do it in any other part of our community. So that Boise decision will have some impact on us because we will have to know that there is bed space before we can put certain ordinances in effect.
How many beds do you need?
Good question. So I know that Judge Carter has said 60%.
No, that's separate from the Boise decision. The Boise decision has nothing to do with Carter. The Boise decision says you need to have more beds than the number of homeless before you can enforce the camping.
Well, I will tell you the only thing that we have to make sure is that there is bed space available.
More, that has to be greater than the number of homeless. I can show it to you.
Okay, that's fine. Just so you know, if we're going to enforce something, what I'm saying is before we move in enforcement, we're going to make sure that there is bed space available. If there is bed space available, then we're going to offer that. If they decline, then we will move forward.
Oh, how?
You know what?
So if you, I'm more than happy to answer some questions. Let me just go through this and then we can definitely answer that question. It'll be very difficult because each case is independent, and so that would be a little difficult to do. So additional beds is something that the city of Anaheim is currently working on. I think it'll be something that will be addressed in the near future. We're in agreement with the Salvation Army, and so there's going to be some 240 beds that they're going to immediately bring forward with a goal of bringing 400 permanent beds to deal with this issue that we currently have. So that is something that is positive for the city of Anaheim. Additionally, we also have a security contract with Lions Security currently. We're going to enhance that also. So currently we have X amount of dollars for Lions Security, and we have to share it with some of the parks. We're going to increase that and make sure that all of our parks have some security with them at times. And there are going to be certain parks that are identified where we do have some issues. Also, we have a HOT team, our homeless outreach team that we have. That is something that the city of Anaheim has started. It's a great program. They come out and Sergeant Cooper is in the back, and you can can discuss this issue even better than I can, but it is a great component because what we really want to do is make sure that we can provide services for those individuals that want it or require it. Also, what I started off with was a little bit of numbers. Most police departments are identified, or one of the gauges of determining how a police department is doing is by Part 1 crime. And so Part 1 crime has two sections, violent and property. And so currently right now, the city of Anaheim is doing extremely well when it comes to that compared to last year. So we're down 8%, 7% in, make sure it's there, 7% in violent and 9% in property. Overall, for Part 1 crime, we're down 8%. Yes?
You are aware, though, that the petty crime seems to be actually higher than it was before, and that it's not maybe reported because they're not necessarily
Well, you did get started.
convicted for.
Well, no, that's a good point. So Part 2 crimes, which I think what we're talking about here, has increased by 1.2%, I believe. And hopefully somebody can tell me if those numbers are right. 1.2%, I believe, is what Part 2 crimes have increased. Now, you're absolutely right. It's not about, it's about the calls that we receive.
Yeah.
So,
It's different.
absolutely. But that is on the individuals in this room and all the citizens of Anaheim. You need to call us for us to be able to respond. And that gives us a better gauge if individuals call us when they see issues of Part 2 crimes. So I do recommend that you give us a call if there are issues, criminal issues occurring in your community, for us to be able to respond to those things. And on top of that, we currently do have a psychological, we have a clinician that goes out with one of our 2 officers currently. The county is going to give us an additional clinician to assist us with mental illness. So we'll have 2. And we hope that we can add additional of those as they come forward with the county being able to provide those services to us. And so many of these things that occur in your communities that are Part 2 crimes are defined as misdemeanors. And what that means is that we, as law enforcement, have to be able to observe those for us to take action. And so that makes it a little difficult for us. Now, there are certain misdemeanors that do not require that. I mean, I can give you an example, like we do not have to see a DUI occur in front of us. We can stop a car afterwards, and then give them a test and so forth. And so we can determine that in that type of misdemeanor, we don't have to visually see it as it goes on or as it happens. But usually all misdemeanors means that we have to actually see it. And so that's just a little bit of information that I have. I know that many of you have a lot of questions regarding issues here on the west side, and we're here to listen. I've brought, like I said, Sergeant Cooper, Deputy Chief Harvey is here also to assist any of the issues you may have.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Just real quick. At the last meeting, at the WAN meeting, it sounded like the police were saying that if there's property in the park, that they could take the property without any kind of notice, but if it's on a sidewalk, they need to give 24-hour notice or something. Maybe you can clarify, like, what are the property rights of the homeless when they're in the park or on a sidewalk, or, you know, notices have to be given or not? I'm not sure. I want to maybe.
I'm going to let Deputy Chief Harvey, but are we just talking strictly about property left on city property?
Yeah, whether it be in the
Any
park.
Sidewalks or parks.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it doesn't matter who it is, right? I mean,
Sure.
We're just talking about somebody leaving property.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be homeless. It could be
Sure.
anywhere.
Sure. Maybe just temporarily. Yeah.
The storage of property ordinance requires notice be provided prior to the seizure of any property, and it spells out how that notice can be satisfied. In the parks, if signs, that satisfies the notice requirement. On public sidewalks, we often do not have signs, so we tag it.
Oh, I see. That's the difference.
That's the difference.
Oh.
Parks have signs, that satisfies our notice, even though we don't just take it immediately in parks, we always tag it in parks as well. We don't have the 24-hour requirement, however, in the parks because it's posted.
Got it.
That's the notice requirement. Sir?
Yes, what about the bike trail? Is it the property of the city, the Swipe Park bike trail? As far as I know,
some good information there for you guys. So please share the video. Do join Homeless Advocates for Christ on Facebook, and just pray that the, I guess you could say, the community does the right thing, and the police do the right thing, and that the homeless can get set free of any addictions. And of course, a lot of the homeless just need housing. They're not all addicts, and it's just pray for the end of the discrimination, where sometimes they're wrongfully judged. There's a lot of issues here, as you know. But thanks so much for your prayers and support. Please share the video, and again, do join Homeless Advocates for Christ on Facebook. And I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you as you seek first His kingdom always. Bye bye.